City Education Bureau in collaboration with Addis Media Network. I am glad that you all can join us today for this class. Today's lesson is taken from Unit 5 and Lesson 18. This lesson is expressing opinion. But before we talk about how to express, ask opinion, and give opinion, I want us to go back a little further and have a quick recap of last time's lesson. If you remember, last time we talked about different vocabularies that will be very helpful, especially when we are talking about nature and the environment. If you remember, we used words like conservation to talk about how we could protect something, or in this case, mostly the wildlife. And when we were talking about restoration, how we have brought something to its original or natural state. And also boost, how to increase the working of something, and also contaminate, how something is polluted and has gone really bad. I'm not going to go through all of the vocabularies, but I'm sure you have gone back and revised it and also used them in your day-to-day activity and have improved your English and your vocabulary so far. So, without further ado, let's go back to today's class. Today's class, as I said earlier, is taken from Unit 5. It is Lesson 18, and it is talking about expressing opinion. So, let's talk about this. What is expressing opinion? And how do we express our opinion? So, remember, opinion, expressing opinion, asking for people's opinion, and also giving people opinion is not something bad. It is something good, and it helps us to communicate really well with people. That is the base of any language, good rapport or good communication. So, expressing opinion. How do we express our opinion? Let's begin by how we ask for opinion. Asking for opinion. Asking for opinion. When we're asking for opinion, we're asking if people know this or that, but how can we ask that? In what way can we ask it? By using what kinds of words or phrases? So if we're doing formal expressions, we have to use words that are formal, or we have to use phrases or sentences that are formal. So, one way of asking for opinion is, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? For example, what do you think about my handwriting? Is it something you could easily read and understand? Or is it very hard for you to understand? So if you ask, what do you think about this? You're using formal expressions. Formal expressions by asking people's opinion, asking if they have something on that particular issue or subject. What about another way to ask for opinion? How do you feel? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about this issue? For example, if there are two soccer teams playing on TV, and if you ask the person sitting next to you, how do you feel about this match, football match, then you're asking for that person's opinion. And it is what? Formal way of asking for someone's opinion. What is your opinion? What is your opinion on this matter? Using the word opinion itself, you can ask for people's opinion about what they feel or what they think about that situation. So, what is your opinion on this matter? How do you feel about this matter? What do you think about this? So you can use all of these to talk about formal way of opinion, asking for opinion. What about others? Do we have others way of formal ways of expression to ask people's opinion? Could you give me your opinion on this issue or on this situation? Okay, could you give me your opinion on this situation or on this issue? So, what do you think? This is also one form of expressing your opinion in a formal way by asking people's opinion, people's ideas, people's feelings. This is formal. What about informal? How would you ask your friends or your family or someone you're really intimate and close with to talk about their opinions or ask their opinions? Informal. Informal expressions. Okay, informal expressions. What do you say? What do you say? Yes? What do you say? It is relaxed and it is informal, unlike could you or would you or how would you? It is what? More relaxed. And what do you say? If you say this to a person that is close to you or a friend, they will not take offense and they will answer your question likewise, being very relaxed. What do you think? How do you reckon? How do you reckon? These are what? Informal ways of asking for opinion. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on this or that issue? Is also one form of expressing opinion in a very informal way. And it is asking for opinion, asking people's opinions on what they think of that particular situation or event or idea. So this is how you ask for opinion, using formal and informal expressions. How about giving opinion? That is also one way of using expressions. Giving. giving opinion. So how do you give opinion? By using what kind of expressions? Again, let's begin by using formal expressions. Formal expression. Or I really think that you should do this or that. I really think, I really believe, yes, that you should go to the doctor. Let's say if you are sick and your friend, or in this case, not friend, but someone who is close but not that close to you, sees you're sick and they would give you this advice. I really think you should go see a doctor. If you're sick, you should go see a doctor. So this is what? Giving opinion. Earlier, we were asking for people's opinion, what they think about a certain situation. In this case, though, we are giving opinion. We are saying, our role has reversed, and we're saying, you should do that. You should do this. Okay. Another way of formal expressions by giving opinion is, in my opinion, you should, or you could do this, or you could do that, okay? For example, let's say I am painting my house and I wanted the opinion of someone who's not a family or a friend. Let's say a construction worker. And if I ask, what do you think? Is this, how do I proceed to painting my home? What color should I choose? The person that's asking you, if that question, you could reply by, in my opinion, you should choose the blue color or the off-white color to paint your house. And that is how you what? Give your opinion to someone else. Okay, what other forms of expression can we use to give people opinion? As far as I'm concerned, you might be, or could be, or should be, depending on which kinds of modal verbs you want to use. So as far as I'm concerned, you should be, or you might be in trouble, right? Or other kinds of ideas that you want to put into it. But this is the formal way of using the expression by giving your idea, opinion on that situation or on that matter. So how can we also give opinion by making it informal? Informal. How do you do informal expression? Informal expression, you should go to the hospital. You should go to the hospital. You're giving your opinion, but it's somehow relaxed and informal, right? What else? I think. That is wrong. This is straight up your idea. I think what you're doing is wrong. I think that is wrong. Or, I think that is the wrong color to choose. So you are giving a very free and relaxed personal opinion. So it is what? It is somewhat informal. I feel like could also be one way of giving informal expressions. I feel like the blue color suits you best. The blue color is good on you. I feel like the blue color is good on you. It looks good on you. Yes? So this is also one form of informal expressions of how to give your opinion on different matters. So since we have seen how to give formal or informal opinions, or also how to express opinions, again, how to take opinions as well, right? So now we're going to do a little bit of a dialogue, a conversation between two students in a school and how they give and receive opinions, okay? We're going to have a conversation between two students, Aster and Sifan, okay? So Aster says, in any conversation, what do? When you begin any conversation, you first greet people. You say hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on the time of the day, right? And you could also make it neutral and say hello. So, or if it's really someone who's really close to you, you could say hey or hi. But greeting is one form of communication, right? So we begin their conversation by greeting. Aster says hello, and Sifan also replies back hello. Okay? And then Aster goes on to ask Sifan's opinion on something. Aster asks, what do you think is the best subject in school? She asked Sifan's opinion, what she thinks is the best subject at school. So Sifan could have what? An answer that is very related or very personal to her, right? So she may say, I think science is the best subject. The best subject because it helps us understand the world. So this is Sifan's idea. She believes that science is the best subject in school because it will help her more to understand the world around her. Aster also has an opinion. Aster replies, she's thinking, personally, I think English is the best subject. This is because I love reading and writing. So they both have an opinion. How are we going to make them come to a certain agreement because both of them have different opinions. Stephen believes that science is the best subject because it helps her understand the world better, while Aster believes that English is the best subject because she gets to write and read stories that she loves. What are we going to do? Or how do you think they're going to come in between and agree to disagree? Okay, let's go back to Stephen. Stephen says, that's interesting. That's interesting, yeah? Science helps us do many fun experiments. So, if that's the case, she has brought something to our attention that is different from understanding the worldview. She has made it very interesting. If you were a third observer in this conversation and you were listening to Stephen and Aster giving their opinions, which subject would you choose is the best? Because Stephen has changed it a little bit and said science has many fun experiments. Okay, let's go on to see what Aster's answer is going to be. Aster says, that's true. That's true. Reading books is also as exciting as fun science experiments. Aster agrees, but she also believes that reading books has what? Different adventures. You could have different adventures while you're reading books. So she's also giving what? That's true. Yes, her opinion. But she's also saying reading book is also exciting as a fun science experiment. Okay? How would Stephen reply, do you think? Stephen says, I see your point. I see your point. I guess both subjects are very fun, educational, and interesting in their own way. In their own way. So I think they have both come into a census. So if you remember this conversation, at the beginning of this conversation, we greeted each other, right? They both did greeting. Hello, hello. And what do you think will happen finally? They both had a back and forth opinion sharing, having a very good, strong rapport communication. Now they're going to close their conversation. So they should do it with goodbyes, right? So Aster says, thank you. Thank you for that wonderful conversation. And Stephen will reply back saying, what? No problem. So they have ended their conversation by a very good way of back and forth, yes, and saying thank you and no problem. So if you remember from the beginning of the conversation until the end, we used what? Different forms of expression. Asking opinion and giving opinion. Aster began asking Sifan her opinion about the best subjects that she knows about in school. And Sifan replied back by giving her opinion by explaining even how and why she said science is the best subject in school, by giving reason. And that is how you have opinions and give opinions. So giving opinion is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. But the way you give opinion is very important. You don't want to become very offensive to people and make them angry or sad or make them feel negative. When you're giving opinion, you should come across as being very polite or even very kind towards others, even if they are your friends and you are giving informal opinion. And that is all for today's class. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you all got something out of it. And I'm really sure you're going to use all of these expressions and opinions to give your own ideas, feedbacks, and also ask people their opinion. And I hope you get to come and join us next time. Until next time, goodbye.